Fiance, you're first. Okay, I don't know if they started anything because I see a seal and then I see a fire alarm. What is up with court today? Okay, they did something. It don't look like they did much of it though.
Took Zach and his brother.
Opening. I went back too far.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I hope that y'all had a nice rest and break. As I've indicated before, I do need to ask you, has anyone seen anything on news, done any kind of investigation, found out anything about this case? Okay. No one from the jury has indicated they have done such. Okay.
Thank you. May it please the court. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Now it's our turn. Mr. Moore and I have been waiting for a long while to be at this point. I was going to say it's been a week, but it's been longer than a week. It's been years. Our client, Zach Hughes, has been waiting for a lot longer than that. He's been waiting over 3 years, some 3 years and 3 months. As Mr. Mormon told you at the outset of this case, we are honored and privileged to be representing Zach. You're going to hear about Zach in the next day or two. You can hear that he's a very gifted and accomplished young man. He is 32 years old now. He was 29 when this happened. He's from a wonderful family. You've probably seen them seated back here in the courtroom throughout this trial so far. You're going to hear a little bit about his life. He was born in California. When he was still a boy, his parents took Zach and his brother, moved him to southwestern Virginia, where they moved into a small farm, and then they took on 5 orphan children who lived there with them. And you can hear that Zach was homeschooled. He learned the value of hard work and discipline as he grew up around the family farm. He helped his young siblings. His family moved to Greenville when Zach was a teenager. In Greenville, he finished high school, being homeschooled still. And you'll hear that his hard work and his discipline paid off, and he was accepted into a very fine college with scholarships. He went on where he studied music, and he won piano competitions. His emphasis was on piano performance. As an adult, Zach has had an accomplished career performing classical music and even recording classical music. So this is the time now for our case and for Zach to testify. But understand, ladies and gentlemen, that we have no obligation under the law or the Constitution to be doing this. This case actually could be over when the state rested. The state has the burden of proof of proving this case in every element of every charge beyond a reasonable doubt. We would not have to put up anybody. Zach wouldn't have to testify, wouldn't have to put up any witnesses. In fact, if Zach were not here, his honor would instruct you that you couldn't use that against him. But we are going to do so. And Zach is going to testify because Zach has been waiting for this opportunity to tell a group of people like you what really happened, which is that he took the life of Christina Parcel. And crucially, he's been waiting and wanting to tell you why. Now, the why to a case like this is very important because it goes to the heart of the matter, and that is malice. Okay, malice is what makes a homicide a murder. And we heard from the prosecution's opening, as you recall. The prosecution said that Zach was mad. They said he had an anger.
Carla, he deferred his opening statement when the trial started. So that's why I was afraid he wasn't even going to put on a case. I thought he was just going to say defense rests this morning, and that was going to be it. Because I wanted more dots connected. But I guess we're going to get the whole shebang. Even Zachary's going to testify, and that's what I wanted. So I'm pretty happy right now.
Angry heart that he wanted to inject himself into this custody dispute of somebody he knew. But that's not why it happened. And that is not what you were going to hear about why this happened. Now, as we turn to our case now, it's important to realize that we could have handled this case extremely differently. Okay? We could have attacked the sufficiency of the state's case. We could have brought in an expert to talk about the DNA. Okay? We didn't do that. We could have challenged the identification evidence. And I want you to consider the professional from law enforcement, from the state law enforcement division, who testified about the enhancement that they did on the videos and the photographs, and how they were able to use this fancy technology to enhance and to account for the differences in light and shadow and the distance. And after all of that, and after all of the technical work that was done, the conclusion was that the guy on the bicycle was 6'5", a big guy like him. Well, as you probably noticed, and as you will see,
he could be Jewish, and it could be just a really light-colored yarmulke.
Zach is shorter than I am. On a good day, I'm 10 foot. I'm 6 foot, 5 foot 10 inches. Okay, he's shorter than I am. Consider the other professional. There's one who spent a great deal of time looking at the enhancement of the person on the bicycle. And after all that time, what was that conclusion? That this person had a beard. It has to be a man. And they enlarged it, and they used, again, all of that technical information to take a look at it. This guy had a beard. This is before they had any suspects. Well, what do we know about Zach and what we learn about Zach? He was clean shaven. We know that from a couple of days prior, and we know that from a couple of days after. We could have attacked that. We could have attacked the identification from the neighbor. Because you remember, a neighbor, after 3 years, came into court, and all of a sudden, after 3 years, was able to identify the man whose picture had been on television for the past 3 years. Had never told anybody even that she could identify somebody. And this was somewhere between 8 and 8:15 in the morning. And what you're going to find, ladies and gentlemen, is that couldn't have happened because the person on that bicycle was not even in that neighborhood for at least an hour to an hour and 15 minutes later. But we didn't attack that. We could have done that, and we could have made mountains of objections throughout this trial. And as you heard, we made very few, and we did not do it. And why is that? Because Zach wants to take the stand and tell you what happened. Now, the prosecution has told you that they will prove this malice in this case by showing you that Zach was mad, that he was angry. And malice is a key part of this case because malice is the very essence of the definition of murder. Okay? So what is murder? Murder is the killing of somebody with malice aforethought. And what is malice? The prosecution told you it's anger, that is madness, and that is a component of it. The definition, though, it is the killing of a person without just cause or excuse. The intentional doing of a wrongful act without just cause or excuse. And I want you to think about those words, that definition, as you listen to the testimony that you're about to hear in this case. The why to the homicide is very important because it gives insight into the person's heart. In this case, you were going to hear that the why was not jealousy or greed or a crime of passion or some other emotion. You're going to hear that Zach did not act like an angry heart like the prosecutor conjectured. You're going to hear that this was not done for money or any other personal gain or benefit, not to help out any kind of friend. You're going to hear that this was done for a just cause. And that's not malice, and that's not murder. Thank you.
Councilman Clerk.
Wait a minute. He can't say what the just cause is. You guys are fine. Have fun. But he can't say what that just cause is. He's not allowed to. And it still doesn't justify what he did. Yes, that's the defendant. What do you mean what's up with his hair? He has pretty hair. I don't know how he keeps it feathered like that. He must use a lot of hairspray. I don't know where you get hairspray in jail, though. Such a waste. He is a Juilliard trained pianist. He goes all over the world doing concerts. And his mugshot, it's shaved on the sides.
The witness is just making a phone call. Have you right now? Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to send you back to the jury room for a moment, and then I will be back with you. I really want to also thank you just for your patience. We've had a lot of legal issues that I've had to take up with the attorneys, okay? So I will be back with you shortly.
Why? This trial, I swear. And we're not going to get to hear this. Nope, back on the seal. Are you kidding me? We are, believe it or not, we're caught up to the live now. That is the weirdest looking fire alarm. What is that thing inside of it? I know they used to have the ones where you had to break the glass and pull something, but they didn't look like that. Now they have the ones where you grab and just pull down on the lever thing. But what is that? It kind of looks like the thing on the wall that flashes when the fire alarm goes off, but what is the little metal thing inside of it? This judge is so paranoid. Oh, I wonder if this might be why he wanted to talk to the lawyers. Because in his opening statement, he said he did it for a just cause. But because he said he did it for a just cause, but he can't tell what the just cause is. So, how do you tell the jury about the cheese pizza without mentioning the cheese pizza? I've never seen one of those, so I don't know what it looks like. Oh, that's cool. I want one. I'm not Jewish, but I still wouldn't mind having one. Oh, there's some made out of olive wood. I mean, the Torah is just part of the Bible. I don't know. That might be appropriating somebody else's culture. Well, yesterday when I was, I mean, not yet, yeah, yesterday when I was in Recovery Addicts chat, there were people that were going on and on and on about. Did I pause that? I did. I didn't mean to pause it. Um, that was going on and on about how innocent he was, that he did a good thing. And I was like, no, that's not, no. So I called in and we talked about the lab stuff that I told you guys about this morning, about how the if there had been a screw up at the lab, that the defense attorney would cross examine the lab people instead of just objecting. Um, and I said, and I want to say one thing to the chat. And Recovery Addict doesn't trust me enough yet. And he rolled his eyes, like the expression on his face was like, "Oh my god, what is she gonna say?" I was like, motive, having a good motive does not make it right. We don't get to make that decision. And then, like, Scott relaxed and he's like, "Oh yeah, absolutely." He's like, "Yeah, we don't get to take the law into our own hands, no matter what. We don't get to take the law into our own hands." Um, because people were like, all of these people are horrible. I can't muster up any sympathy for this victim. You don't have to have sympathy for the victim. It's wrong to take somebody's life. It's wrong. What she was doing was almost worse, in my opinion. But you gather evidence and you take it to the police. That's what you do. The child had a guardian ad litem. As the father, you gather the evidence, you take it to the guardian ad litem, and you say, "This is what's happening to my daughter." You don't resort to harassing and getting other people to help you harass. You don't break the law. You don't, two wrongs don't make a right. You don't try to do things to discredit that person that they're not doing. You try to get evidence of the wrong things that they are doing and go through the proper channels. Right. Exactly. That's what I always, because I'm a Christian, and that's what I say. That's not my place. I love everybody. It's not my place to judge your lifestyle. That's for God to do. God, God, what's the word I want? God's mission for me is to love, not to judge. I'm to love. No, but she had gone to, um, I don't think so. She had gone, her and her fiance had gone to the police with the envelopes with the pictures, and they had also contacted like the postal investigator, which is like, he got on the stand and they're like, "Well, what does a postal investigator do?" And he's like, "Well, we're like the FBI of the post office. We investigate when people are using the postal service incorrectly." I don't remember all that he said, but that was the gist of it. That's what they do. And they found out that because they all had Bradley Post, the fiance, they all had his return address on it. So John Mello wanted it to look like her fiance was the one that was sending the nudie pics of her to all these people. He didn't want it to come back to him. And they were pictures of her and him together. John Mello, they were pictures of him. Pictures, I guess, that he had taken when they were together. So it was like revenge P. And he made it look, I guess he thought it would help his child custody case if it looked like she was on a escargot service. Um, and it all had Bradley Post's return address. So the post office investigator found out that they were being sent from Tennessee and South Carolina, and eventually somehow figured out that it was Zachary Hughes that was sending them. So I don't think they had a protection order because they couldn't prove that it was John Mello because it was all being done through Zachary. And I don't know. I don't remember if they said after that what they did. Well, if he said I didn't write it down. They found email between John Mello and Zachary Hughes, and they found there was an email that was forwarded to Mullins investigations, but Mullins investigations did not exist. The emails were being forwarded from protonmail.com, which is a 100% private mail service in Switzerland that you cannot get any info from because of the privacy laws in Switzerland. So that was the email that they were emailing each other back and forth. So I don't know how they got what they got. Really? I didn't know that. This has been just like a day of duds, I swear. First, we had no trial. Then we had a hearing that ended unexpectedly. Now we had an opening statement and now nothing. What is happening today, y'all? This is crazy. This is just a crazy, crazy day. This is in South Carolina. Because, see, normally we would get to hear this. But because this judge is so paranoid that something's going to get back to the jury, he won't let this part be broadcast. That's why it's on a half-hour delay, too. That way, if any pictures or anything like that get shown, um, then Law and Crime or Court TV or whoever can block the picture or edit it out or whatever. What I don't understand is why John Mello isn't um, being charged with accessory or conspiracy or, I mean, conspiracy to harass. Yeah, he is. But why? Well, maybe we'll find out when Zachary testifies. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know how familiar this court is with LawTube. Because that one, where was the Melody Ferris trial? Was that South Carolina or Georgia? I can't remember. It was in the South somewhere. I missed my boom. I wish I had something I could put my boom on. Um, that trial must have been the first one that attorney and judge had ever had live streamed. Because they were not happy with it at all. Because I didn't stream that one. Why didn't I stream that one? Oh, because of the Sarah Boone trial. Sarah Boone trial was at the same time. And what Recovery Addict did, he started the Melody Ferris trial. It was a long trial. And so we started watching that one, and then the Sarah Boone trial started. So I streamed the Sarah Boone trial. He streamed it as well. So we both streamed that, and then we jumped back to the Melody Ferris trial. So what I did after the Sarah Boone trial, I took a break, and then I watched the rest of the Melody Ferris trial. So in the Melody Ferris trial, her husband was pew-pewed and put in a burn pile. And one day, Scott said, Recovery Addict said, I think I figured it out. Did I just solve the crime? I think I know where she got the gun. And so a couple days later, the relative or friend, where she got the gun, where Scott thought she got the gun from, was a witness in the trial. And so the defense attorney asked her if she had watched any of the trial. And she's like, well, yeah, I did. Somebody told me that it was on Court TV. So I looked on the internet and I found it. And there was this little man down in the corner, and he said he thought he solved the case. And that was Scott. That was Recovery Addict. He actually became a piece of evidence in the trial. They printed off a screenshot of Recovery Addict's channel with his picture as the little man down in the corner. So now we call him the little man in the corner. He's actually a piece of evidence in the Melody Ferris trial now. Hey, Rodney. So the defense attorneys were not pleased at all that the trial was being streamed. So then during deliberations, the judge said something about, they're having a watch party online. And the defense attorney was like, they're what? And the judge is like, they're having verdict watch online. And the defense attorney goes, who is? And the judge is like, on YouTube, they're having a verdict watch party. It was so funny. He was like, they're doing what now? And they're just like, I hope we don't ever do another trial that's streamed. They were just like so over having an audience on YouTube. I thought it was hilarious. I was like, Scott, is this the first time you've ever become evidence in a trial? He said, no, it's the second time. I wasn't around. I wasn't watching his channel the first time it happened. I was like, he's the only person that I know that that's happened to, though. I don't remember. I can't recall any other YouTuber ending up being talked about in a trial before. Oh, and Scott likes to count things during a trial. And that judge, um, you know how you say like I just did, right? But he'd go, so that's what we counted. So the judge actually made a remark about people watching us, and sometimes people even count how many times you say and then Scott felt bad. He's like, okay, we're not counting anything personal like that ever again. I don't remember how many there were. But then I think somebody got in touch with Scott and I think it was the judge's wife, was like, he wasn't offended. Don't worry about it. He wasn't offended. It's so funny. Oh my gosh, it was hilarious. I'm crying. It was so funny. I thought it was so funny. Oh my gosh. So the last trial. No, it's this trial. Now he's just counting objections in this one. He's with the trial, the Jennifer Crumley trial. Um he counted how many times Shannon said sorry, because she said I'm sorry so many times. And she knew about that too, because I think she said something in her closing statement because we were counting that, and she wasn't offended either. She got in touch with him too and said she wasn't offended. But after the judge did it, he was like, nope, that's it. We're done. We're not counting anything personal ever again. Here I am worrying about getting monetized and losing my disability. Scott has to worry about ending up being part of the trial. What are they doing? They're not getting anything done today. Or I guess they are. We're just not allowed to see it. So unfair. And everybody's like, Scott, you need to have that defense attorney on the channel. And Scott's like, he doesn't like me. I don't I don't think he'll come on the channel. I didn't watch Daryl Brooks with him. I wonder if he, that was like his first trial. I wonder if he was counting anything yet. That would have been something. I think that was the first trial he did. He said he just decided to stream a trial one day, and that was the first one he picked was Gerald Brooks. The first trial that I watched on YouTube was Depp v. Heard, and yeah, I'll go take a look at it. I like that channel. Um, the first trial I watched on YouTube was Johnny Depp. I had no idea. I didn't watch YouTube. I used to make fun of my husband for watching YouTube. Like, why are you watching YouTube? Because I'd only used it like to look up how to do stuff. To me, it was like a reference. It was like a source. I never used it just to sit and watch it. And I would make fun of him. He'd come home from work, sit down. I'm like, "Are you watching YouTube again? Why do you watch YouTube all the time?" And um, so um, I just googled the John because somebody told me I wanted to watch it. And someone told me to watch it on YouTube, and so I just googled it and I found Emily D. Baker, and then from her I gradually found everybody else. And then one day I was like, I want to be a YouTuber, but I don't know what I'd talk about. And then I realized something I'd always wanted to do, and I thought, oh, it's something I can do on YouTube, and I'm interested in it. Maybe other people will be interested in it. And I had always wanted to look up the serial killers that were talked about on Criminal Minds, and I thought that would be cool because I knew that true crime. By then, I had found like true crime channels on YouTube, so I knew that it was a thing. So I thought, well, that would be cool. And I had some people like Nancy's been with me since the beginning, just because it's been around. Flash fan has been around. So I've had people that were interested in it. I just wasn't getting any traction. And then I was a mod on Legal Bites channel and watching trials with her, and I didn't really want to live stream. I mean, I don't know why I didn't want to. I'm obviously not nervous or anything like that, but I'm I'm introverted, but I'm not shy, if that makes any sense. Um, and I love to perform. I've sung, I've been in plays, I've played piano, I've just tap and dance since I was 5 years old. I love it. So I don't have any problem doing this. I just didn't. Well, and for one thing, I didn't. I don't. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know anything about law. I mean, I know a little bit about law, but not a lot about law. So I didn't feel legit doing something like this. But um, Alita from Legal Bites had a baby, and she wanted to live stream the end of her pregnancy. I think she was afraid to go into labor during a live stream. And the Ashley Benefield trial came up, and I live streamed that so we could all watch it together. And then nobody watched it with me, but just a couple people. And I had so much fun doing it that I just kept doing it. And I think the next one I did an old trial because I'd done an episode, and this is all I call. Well, I shouldn't call him my serial killer story, I guess. Danny Rawlings, the Gainesville Ripper, because I lived through that. So I did his. He pled guilty, but he had the penalty phase for because he got the death penalty. So I did his penalty phase trial, and then I did Sarah Boone, and now I just do hearings I'm interested in and trials I'm interested in, and I'm kind of starting to hit my stride with that kind of stuff. But I still do videos every once in a while because I like doing the videos. I like doing the research for the videos. I love editing. I love finding pictures and clips of stuff and putting together a video. That's my favorite. So, but I like interacting with you guys too, though, and you can't do that with a video. I used to make videos and then make them premieres, and it'd just be me and Nancy watching my videos together. Remember that, Nancy? Yeah, I kind of wanted Sarah Boone to go pro se just for the cringe factor, but I am glad that she got a lawyer because that kind of wouldn't have been fair. I mean, it would have had the same outcome either way, but it wouldn't have been fair. I keep forgetting to tell my husband to do something with his shop vac. I don't know why it's there. I keep forgetting background in my live stream. I don't know why I put it there.
Again, I asked, has anyone heard, done any research or anything concerning this, with any media outlet?
Oh, she definitely
Open
was.
with note for the record, jury indicates absolutely not.
Definitely was.
Yes.
May it please the court, the defense will call investigator Dan Petal.
See, now he's recalling people. This is what I was thinking. I still say he's going to recall lab people and yeah. I don't know.
Drew, so I hope you got it.
I do.
Thank you. Please state your name for the record.
Daniel Bevel.
Investigator Bevel, you were called in the state's case in chief. Do you remember that?
Yes, sir.
And my understanding is it correct that you began working for the sheriff's office, Greenville County Sheriff's Office, roughly in 2012? Is that correct?
That's correct.
And you got a bachelor's degree from Troy University. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
You testified about this previously, but briefly tell this jury what units you have served in the sheriff's office.
I started in patrol from 2012 to 2017. That's your standard uniform patrol deputies answering 911 calls, any kind of call for service. After that, I went to specialized investigations from 2017 on to, in there, I went to the Crimes Against Children unit from 2017 to 2019. That's any kind of child abuse, child neglect, child sex crimes. Then after that, 2019 to 2023, I went to the Internet Crimes Against Children unit. That's any kind of child exploitation.
Investigator Bevel, you talked about your time in the Crimes Against Children unit. When you're in a specific unit within the sheriff's office, do you receive specialized training associated with that type of unit?
Yes, sir.
Right. And so when you were on the road in uniform patrol, did you receive specialized training related to that?
Yes, sir.
And when you were in the unit of the Crimes Against Children, did you receive specialized training in that discipline?
Yes, sir.
So you let me show you Defense Exhibit 65. Just take a look at this for identification only.
Yes, sir.
Investigator Bevel, for example, that is the report you drafted for the purpose of the harassment investigation. Is that correct?
It is, sir.
And so this is of the kind of report you would draft depending on what investigation you were conducting or what tasks you were performing with the sheriff's office.
That's correct.
as an investigator, are you familiar with a phrase called the lead investigator?
Yes, sir.
And ultimately, the lead investigator is just that, the investigator on a case who is ultimately responsible for the investigation. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And in this case, Investigator Sparkman would be deemed or likely be the lead investigator. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Were you also the lead investigator in another case in connection with this case? Let me ask it a different way. On October the 19th, 2021, did you become the lead investigator in another case?
Objection.
State your objection.
Objection, this is going to fall under your previous ruling.
Okay. I will sustain the objection.
Okay. Your Honor, due to Your Honor's previous order with the restriction, I'm going to move on, and I'm going to move on.
This is going to be painful.
Investigator Bevel, you testified, as you said, in the state's case in chief, and that was just last week, wasn't it?
Yes, sir.
And I would imagine you're still familiar with your testimony in the state's case in chief.
Yes, sir.
And I want to talk to you about that testimony, and specifically, I want to refer to a specific portion of it. Do you remember during your direct examination, you testified about mailers and the contents of mailers that you had been provided in the early summer and through the summer of 2021? Do you remember that testimony?
I believe so. Are you referring to the mailers as what I was given by Post and Parcel?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And you testified that those mailers had Christina Parcel in those mailers. Is that correct? Remember that?
Yes, sir.
And I've got a transcript. I want to ask you specifically about this exchange. Do you remember being asked by Mr. Wilkins, when you first got these photos, let me back up. Do you remember testifying about the fact there was a website listed on the photographs? Do you remember testifying to that?
Yes, sir.
And do you remember Mr. Wilkins asking about questions about different fonts and different placement? Remember that?
Yes, sir.
Do you remember Mr. Wilkins asking you this question? Now, when you first got these photos, did you attempt to try to find the website on it? Do you remember that question?
Yes, sir.
And you testified, yes, sir. You remember that?
Yes, sir.
And then do you remember Mr. Wilkins asking you, how'd you do that? And you testified, I just typed the address into one of our computers in the office. Do you remember that?
Yes, sir.
And do you remember Mr. Wilkins asking you, and what did you find? And you testified that the website no longer worked. Do you remember that?
Yes, sir.
And then do you remember Mr. Wilkins asking you, so you put belladondigiorno.com escort site and put in your computer, and you responded, yes, sir. Do you remember that?
I believe so. Yes, sir.
And he asked you what happened, and you said, it just redirected me to another escort website. Do you remember that?
Yes, sir.
And then then he asked you, were any of those photos on that escort site? And remember, you testified no.
I'm sorry, I got an objection. Can I
I'm almost done. One more line. Do you remember Mr. Wilkins asked you, were any of those photos on that escort site? And you responded, no, sir. Do you remember that?
Yes, sir.
And then just one more. Do you remember he asked you, was any pictures or were any pictures of Christina Parcel on
any of those websites that you found? And you testified, no, sir. Do you remember that?
Yes, sir.
Isn't it true that in a harassment report that I just showed you, Defense Exhibit
Your Honor, I've got another objection I need to make. I need to just put it off the record.
Your Honor, this is I mean,
I'm sorry.
Now that was Spike. I had to go tuck him in. I guess technically there was a kid crying. That was my kid crying. The other day when we went shopping, came home, Spike was so happy to see me. So I got in the bed with him, and he was loving on me and rubbing all over me and nuzzling me. And Travis, he came in the bedroom. He's like, "Come on, let's go potty. Y'all, come on, let's go out. Gotta go potty." And Spike didn't budge. He was just all over me, loving all over me. And I was like, he's with his woman. He doesn't want to go anywhere. He's with his woman, Daddy. He's not moving. Travis looked at him and was like, "Show me your papers, boy. I got papers at home, and you show me your papers." But at night, when he comes home from work, he has to sit in the chair next to Travis. But during the day, he has to be wherever I am. And watch, he'll be back in here. I usually give it about 15 minutes. He'll be right back in here whining again. Because he wants me to go in the bed with him. He's whining because he wants me to go help him get in the bed. But he wants me to stay. Because he comes and whines, but then he dawdles, like he doesn't want to follow me in there. But if I had turned off the computer and gathered up my crochet stuff and everything, he would have been right on my heels going in there because he knows I'm not going to stay because I'm not packing up to go in there. He's not dumb. He knows. So he'll probably be back in a little bit and whine again because he wants me to go in there with him. That is the dog that put me in the hospital for 9 days, two hand surgeries. But he didn't mean to. He wasn't trying to kill me. He was trying to kill my chihuahua. Judy.
So again, let's pick up where we left off. I had reminded you of your testimony from last week, wherein you were asked the following about typing in this website. And you were asked what happened, and you testified just to redirect me to another escort website. Then you were asked, were any of those photos on that escort website? And you testified, no, sir. And then you were asked, which you previously testified to, were any of the pictures of Christina Parcel on any of those websites that you found? No, sir. You remember that testimony?
Yes, sir.
Isn't it true in your report on the harassment allegations?
Your Honor, I'm leading.
Your Honor, he's an adverse witness, 611C. He testified for the state. He's a member of the Greenville County Sheriff's Office. I have every single right to lead him pursuant to 611C.
Your Honor, he is their witness. They call it.
And
In
what-
direct examination witness. I'm just saying.
All right. Well, I'm going to show you Defense Exhibit 65 again. Sure.
Yes, sir. I photographed the 6 envelopes and the contents of the open ones. The open ones were addressed to Brad Post. One contained black and white nude images of Parcel with the address checklist. The images have a web address of http://belladonna.escort-site.com. I checked this web address and it was not valid. It redirected me to another escort site under a different URL. The other contained several of the same images, but were not in color.
So isn't it true, based on this report, that you were redirected to other websites that had the same images that were in those envelopes? Isn't that correct?
No, sir.
Isn't that what you said in your report?
It's poorly worded on my part, but I meant the other envelopes. Same images were not in color.
What are you saying you meant?
The images that were in the other envelopes, not another website.
So didn't you say that you found these on the internet? Isn't that what you said in your report?
No, sir.
Tell me again what you said. Yeah, please read it again to the jury. Read it again.
It's okay if I go to the relevant part instead of
Yeah,
everything.
and I've got a bracket there.
Okay. Photographed 6 envelopes and the contents of the open ones. The open ones were addressed to Brad Post. One envelope, or it just says one contained black and white nude images of Parcel with the address checklist. The images have the web address of http://belladonna.escort-site.com. I checked this web address and it was not valid. It redirected me to another escort site under a different URL. The other contained several of the same images, but were in color. Now, like I explained, it's poor wording on my part, but I was referring to the other envelopes contained several of the same images, but they were in color. I wasn't referring to another website.
And in your report, you don't distinguish between envelopes and websites, do you?
Like I said, it was just poor wording, but I was referring to just other envelopes had the same images, just in color.
That is poor wording.
And isn't it true that it is very possible that those images could have been online and just taken down the time you tried to look at them? Isn't that true?
In another website, is that what you're referring?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
One second. Those are all the questions I would ask Investigator Bevel. in this context. Yeah, I don't have anything further on her examination.
You want me to please the court briefly? Did you ever find naked photos of Christina Parcel on the internet when you checked?
No, sir.
Because it didn't exist that you could find.
Not that I could find.
No further questions.
Nothing else, Your Honor. Okay. Your Honor, there is, Your Honor, pursuant to your previous ruling, I would like to present some information in the absence of the jury.
What now? We're crying out loud. Yeah, but he made it sound like he found the same pictures. He made it sound like he found the same pictures that were in the envelope on the other URL. He meant the same pictures were in the other envelopes that were in the first envelope. So, like I said in my recap this morning, that I deleted because there was no trial in it, there's no way to prove one way or the other whether or not she was an escort. Or escargot, whatever. But knowing what I know now, like my first thought was they're framing, well, not framing, they're trying to make her look bad. They're trying to make it seem like she was an escort. Just the same with the white powder that they found. They're trying to make her look like a bad person. But what I know about her now, she was a bad person. So now I wonder, like, she's got it in her. If she would do that to her own daughter, she would absolutely do the other thing. Because the other thing doesn't. Okay, sin is sin. But the other thing isn't as bad. The escargot is not as bad as the cheese pizza. You know? Because with the one, it's consenting adults, whereas with the cheese pizza, it's not. So if she was doing what they were making it out to look like what she was doing, if they fake that, that's nowhere near as bad as what she really did. So maybe they didn't fake it. Maybe it was real and they were just putting it out there. Because I can believe now that it was something she would have really done. But in the beginning of the earlier in the trial, I was like, maybe they were just doing that. Maybe they were trying to make it look like she did that. Yeah, you have a point. You do have a point there. Come on, StreamYard. It doesn't crash, but it's still slow. I don't know why. Yeah, and then you got the added extra
Okay, guys,
word I don't
I'm
want
going
to
to end it
say.
right here. I stayed on and just rambled and rambled because the court never came back. But I'm going to go ahead and
What
end it. I hope you
pizza
enjoyed it,
talking starts
replay
with a B?
crew, and I will see you in the next one. Remember, be kind to people, love your family, and Jesus loves you. Bye.
This fan, ugh. I don't have a heating pad on. I can turn it off. It's blowing my hair. My little wispy's all in my face. It's driving me crazy. Banana peppers. Cheese pizza with banana peppers. Because I don't like black olives. But it could be black olives.